Hello, welcome to this video. I want to talk about fractions between fractions with Mr. Knight. So we're going to talk about finding fractions between fractions. So you might come to a situation, how do I turn the page? There we go. Where, let's take a look at this number line. This number line we have split into fourths. We have 0, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and a whole, of course, is 4/4. What if I wanted to find a fraction between 2/4 and 3/4, right in this area right there where I put the blue? How would I do that? Well, I'm going to use equivalent fractions and figure that out. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand this. I'm going to blow this up, and I'm going to make this now a graph like this, where I have 2/4 on one side and 3/4 on the other. And how do I find something that goes in between it? Well, here's what I can do. I can turn them both into eighths. And the way that I do that, if you find equivalent fractions, you do something to the top and the bottom. We're going to multiply them both by 2. Multiply them both by 2. And what we're going to do is make them into eighths. So this one becomes 4/8. And this one becomes 6/8. And right in between 4/8 and 6/8, we're going to find a fraction. Well, what's between 4 and 6? So right there would be 5/8, right in between. So if I had it right, that would be right there. If I split it up, if I split the whole thing up, and I made all of them into eighths, I'd multiply them all by 2. I could make this into eighths, so it would be 2/8, 4/8, 6/8, and in between I would have 1/8. Then we have 2/8. Then there'd be 3/8. Then 4/8. Then 5/8. Then 6/8. Then 7/8. Then 8/8, which is the whole. So the way that we found a fraction in between those fractions is we blew it up and we multiplied it by something. Basically, we turned our fourths into eighths, but kept them the same amount. We turned the 2/4 into 4/8, 6/8, and then we found what was in between them. So let's talk about another one. Let's pretend that I'm going for a run because I've eaten too many tacos. Oh. So let's say poor Mr. Knight ate too many tacos and I want to go for a run. And these are the distances. I want to run at least a whole mile, but not 4/3, because I don't want to quite run 1 1/3 mile because, well, I might puke them back up. So I want to go on a run that is between 1 mile and 4/3 of a mile, which would be 1 1/3 mile. So what I need to do is find a fraction between the fraction to tell myself how far I'm going to run. So, bye-bye, big belly Mr. Knight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take both of these fractions. I'm going to take 3/3, and I'm going to take 4/3, and I'm going to multiply them both by 2. If I multiply them both by 2, I'll be able to figure out what's right between them. I'm going to get 6/6, and I'm going to get 8/6. So now, what would be right between those two? Obviously, it would be 7/6. So 7/6 would be right there. So that's how you find a fraction between a fraction. Another thing you could do is you can find several fractions between a fraction. Let's say we have 3/5 and 4/5. and I want to find several fractions between them. Oops. Sorry, I said that wrong. 3/5 and 4/5, and I want to find several fractions between them. Well, another thing we could do is we could take them times 4. Watch what happens if we take it times 4. We're going to make them both into 20ths. So basically, we're blowing up that part of the number line. We're going to make them both 20ths. And now we have, times 4, 12 20ths, and we have 16 20ths. And guess what? That gives us 13 20ths, 14 20ths, and 15 20ths, all in between those two fractions. Okay, so here's a practice one. I want you to find, if you have 1/3 and 2/3, how many sixths? I want to find an answer. What would be how many sixths would be in between 1/3 and 2/3? Pause and solve. Okay, so to pause it, we're going to make them both into sixths. So we're going to take them both times 2. If you do it to the top, or to the bottom, you got to do it to the top. So we have 2/6 over there, and we have 4/6 over here. So what would be right in between them would be 3/6. Okay, now how about let's do 1/5 and 2/5. This time, I want you to find at least 3 fractions between. Pause and solve. Okay, so if I need to find at least 3, I'm going to multiply them by 3. So I'm going to do 15ths. It's going to be 3/15 on this one, and it's going to be 6/15. Uh-oh, I'm only going to have 2 here. Then in between them would be 4/15 and 5/15. Oops, so I only was able to find 2. What I could do also is I could take it times 4, times 4, times 4, times 4, times 4, and I would end up getting 4 20ths, and I would end up getting 8 20ths. And there are 3 in between here. There'd be 5 20ths, 6 20ths, and 7 20ths. Okay, problem on the go. I want to talk about 3/4 and 4/4. I want you to find, for the homework, I want you to find at least 2 fractions in between. Have a good evening. Eat some good food. Goodbye.